In April 2025, the internet exploded with a claim that seemed impossible. Tony Beets, the legendary gold miner from Discovery's Gold Rush, had allegedly been sentenced to life in prison. Videos racked up hundreds of thousands of views, comment sections went wild, and fans panicked. But here's the twist. None of it was true. So what's really going on with the King of Klondike? Why did his name become clickbait gold? And what's actually happening behind the scenes that has everyone talking? The truth is far more complex than any viral hoax could capture. The rumors started innocently enough. An April 2nd video titled "Tony Beets and Mike Beets from Gold Rush Sentenced to Life Imprisonment" appeared on YouTube and quickly gained traction. Within weeks, it had over 210,000 views. More videos followed, each one more dramatic than the last. They featured AI-generated narration, fake courtroom drama, and claims of a criminal empire built on deception and destruction. The videos alleged tax fraud, illegal mining practices, and a massive cover-up. Social media platforms lit up with speculation. Some fans believed every word, while others demanded proof that never came. Here's what actually happened. Absolutely nothing. Tony Beets never went to prison. He was never arrested in He wasn't even charged with anything new. Fact-checking websites like Snopes quickly debunked the entire story, confirming that no credible news outlet had reported any legal trouble. The truth? Tony was busy doing what he does best, mining for gold in the Yukon. While fake videos claimed he was behind bars, he was actually pulling in record numbers during Gold Rush Season 15, with his Indian River operation earning over $750,000 in the first week alone. The hoax did have roots in reality, though. Back in 2017, Tony faced environmental charges after a crew member poured gasoline into a dredge pond and set it on fire during filming. He paid fines and cleanup costs but never spent a day in jail. The 2025 rumors twisted this old story into something sensational, and the internet ate it up. But the real question isn't why people believed it, it's why Tony Beets became such an easy target for these scams in the first place. Tony Beets didn't start as a mining legend. Born in Wijdenes, Netherlands in 1959, he spent his childhood milking cows on his family's farm. Life was simple, predictable, and far from glamorous. At 7, his family moved to Friesland, where the work ethic that would define his future was forged. By 1984, Tony made a decision that would change everything. With just $300 in his pocket and barely speaking English, he and his wife Minnie packed up and moved to Canada. They were chasing a dream most people thought was insane. Tony started in construction, learning English on job sites in British Columbia. The work was brutal, but it taught him resilience. When he discovered gold mining in Dawson City, something clicked. This wasn't just work, it was opportunity on a scale he'd never imagined. He bought his first claim and dove in head first, working grueling hours in harsh conditions that would break most people. Slowly, his operation grew. He invested in heavy equipment, took calculated risks, and built Tamarack Inc. into one of the most successful mining operations in the Klondike. Today, Tony's net worth sits between $15 and $20 million. Locals call him the Viking for his bold, aggressive approach to mining, and Tony Peep for his creative use of profanity on camera. He owns the Tamarack Mine, multiple claims across the Yukon, a winter home in Arizona, and a luxury Mercedes convertible. Season 15 of Gold Rush proved he's still at the top of his game, breaking his own record for the most gold mined in a season's opening week. At 65 years old, Tony Beets remains the undisputed king of his domain. Behind the success lies a family in turmoil. For years, the Beets dynasty seemed unshakable. Tony and Minnie raised their children, Kevin, Mike, Monica, and Bianca, in the mining business. They learned the ropes early, operating massive machinery and understanding the ground like second nature. Kevin, the eldest, was groomed to take over. He'd been mining since age 13, running crews by 19, and operating Tony's resurrected dredge for nearly a decade. He knew every piece of equipment, every strategy, every trick his father had taught him. On paper, he was the heir apparent. But recognition never came. Kevin poured everything into the family operation, making critical decisions that kept gold production flowing. Yet the final word always belonged to Tony. There were no thank yous, no public acknowledgement of Kevin's contributions. While Tony praised Parker Schnabel, a miner outside the family, for his work ethic and drive, Kevin watched from the sidelines, feeling invisible in his own empire. The tension built slowly, simmering beneath the surface for years before finally boiling over. The breaking point came during disputes over equipment maintenance. Kevin and Tony clashed repeatedly about how to adjust the trommel's roller rings, leading to machinery malfunctions that cost thousands. Arguments turned into shouting matches. Trust eroded. By the time season 14 rolled around, Kevin made a shocking decision. He took a hiatus from the family business. He claimed he wanted to spend time with his wife and do some gardening. But everyone knew the truth. He was done being underappreciated. Tony's response? He didn't beg Kevin to stay. Instead, he handed the leadership role to Monica, his daughter, and kept the operation moving without missing a beat. Kevin's departure sent shockwaves through the Gold Rush community. Fans couldn't believe the prodigy who'd carried the Beets operation for years had simply walked away. But Kevin wasn't gone for good. He was planning something bigger. When he returned for season 15, it wasn't as Tony's right-hand man. He came back as his own boss, having invested nearly $2 million of his life savings into an independent mining operation at Scribner Creek. He assembled his own crew, secured his own equipment, and set an ambitious goal: 1,000 ounces of gold in his first season. The problems started immediately. Kevin's operation relied on aging machinery, including a 30-year-old D10 dozer that broke down constantly. Broken bolts, oil leaks, and equipment failures plagued his site. His foreman, Brennan Rualt, didn't hide his frustration with the inferior equipment. When a critical machine went down, Kevin had no choice but to ask his father for help. He needed a spare dozer to keep operations running. Tony's response was ice cold. "There are no more freebies. We all got to learn to be our own boss." Kevin was stunned. After years of loyalty, after sacrificing his own ambitions to build his father's empire, he was being told to figure it out alone. Desperate, he turned to Parker Schnibel, his father's former protege, who had his own operation nearby. Parker agreed to help, but at a price. Kevin paid over $100,000 for a replacement truck, a cost that ate into his already tight budget. The humiliation was complete. Kevin had left to prove he didn't need his father, only to realize just how much Tony's support had mattered. But quitting wasn't an option. He'd invested everything. Tony Beets doesn't believe in handouts, not even for his own children. His philosophy is simple: if you want to succeed, earn it yourself. When Kevin announced his independent venture, Tony didn't try to stop him. Instead, he offered a business deal. He leased Kevin a 44-acre claim at Scribner Creek and agreed to rent him some equipment. Old equipment, but equipment nonetheless. The terms: Kevin would pay Tony a 10% royalty on every ounce of gold he pulled from the ground. No free rides, no special treatment, just business. On the surface, it seemed harsh. Kevin was Tony's son, the one who dedicated his life to the family operation. But Tony saw it differently. He and Minnie had started with nothing, just $300 and a dream. Nobody gave them equipment or claims or second chances. They fought, scraped, and clawed their way to success. Tony believes that struggle builds character, that easy success creates weak miners. In his mind, he was doing Kevin a favor by making him work for it. "There comes a time when your kids aren't kids anymore," Tony explained. "They are adults. They have to make their own decisions. They have to fly and do their own thing." The 10% royalty deal was actually generous compared to industry standards. When Parker Schnabel started his independent operation years earlier, Tony charged him 20%. Kevin was getting half that rate, plus access to equipment and Tony's decades of knowledge about the land. Still, the relationship remained strained. Business meetings were tense, conversations were brief, and the warmth that once defined their bond had vanished. Tony was teaching Kevin a lesson, but the cost was their relationship. With Kevin gone, Tony needed someone to run Paradise Hill, one of his most important operations. The choice seemed obvious: Mike Beets, his second son. Mike had been in the mining business since age 13. Just like Kevin, he was skilled with machinery, understood the operation, and had proven himself capable over the years. But there was one problem. Mike wasn't Kevin. He lacked the instinctive touch, the ability to read the ground and pinpoint rich gold veins. Tony knew it, Mike knew it, and the pressure was crushing. Season 15 became a nightmare for Mike. During a critical moment, a problem arose at the wash plant, a $300,000 piece of equipment essential to their operation. Mike rushed to fix it, determined to prove he could handle the responsibility his brother once carried. But in his haste, disaster struck. He accidentally flipped the entire wash plant onto the road. The damage was catastrophic, the repair costs astronomical, and Tony's disappointment was palpable. Mike had been given the keys to the kingdom and immediately crashed the car. The incident highlighted a harsh reality. Mike was operating in Kevin's shadow, and everyone knew it. Every mistake he made was compared to what Kevin would have done. Every delay, every breakdown, every ounce of gold that didn't meet expectations became proof that Tony had chosen the wrong son. The stress took its toll. Mike's confidence wavered, his decisions became hesitant, and the crew's frustration grew. Tony pushed harder, demanding more, but the harder he pushed, the more Mike seemed to crumble. The Beets empire was still producing gold, but the cracks in the foundation were impossible to ignore. The 2025 prison hoax didn't come from nowhere. It had roots in Tony's actual legal history. On October 14, 2014, during Season 6 filming, something happened that would haunt Tony for years. A subcontractor named Mark Favron decided to perform what he called a Viking baptism on a newly refurbished dredge. The ceremony involved pouring gasoline into a dredge pond on Tony's Indian River claim and setting it ablaze. Tony watched it happen. He later admitted he should have stopped it, but in the moment he didn't. The incident aired in February 2015, and Yukon regulators were furious. Environmental violations in the mining industry are taken seriously, and this was blatant. In April 2017, charges were filed against Tony and his company, Tamarack Inc., for violating the Yukon Waters Act. The allegations centered on improper waste disposal and environmental contamination. Tony pleaded not guilty, but the evidence was overwhelming. It had been filmed and broadcast on national television. He lost the case. The penalties included fines, cleanup costs, and significant complications with his water license, a document essential for mining operations. For a time, Tony struggled to get approvals for new claims, and the legal battle became a costly distraction. But here's the key detail. Tony never went to jail. He paid his dues, cleaned up the mess, and moved on. The worker who lit the fire was fined $1,725. Tony's fine was larger, but still manageable for someone with his resources. Fast forward to 2025, and clickbait creators saw an opportunity. They took this old story, twisted the facts, and created a fictional narrative about life imprisonment. The formula was simple. Take a kernel of truth, add sensational lies, and watch the views roll in.